Welcome to Ground Up Growth, where we share entrepreneurial insights, business strategies, and personal growth lessons to help listeners build success from the ground up.
Welcome back to Ground Up Growth. Today's episode, we have Mr. Nick Newcomb as our guest. Nick is the CEO of StorageMax. StorageMax is the leading self-storage operation in Mississippi.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Nick, tell us where you're from, how old you are. Let's start unpacking Nick Newcomb.
Sounds great. Originally from the Mississippi Delta, moved to the Jackson area.
Where were you born?
Born in Memphis.
Really?
4 years in Arkansas, and then mostly on our farm in the Delta.
Where at in
is
the Delta?
Bee Lake, north of Yazoo.
Yeah.
My dad's still out there, so
Thornton.
still enjoy Thornton. Yeah. And then moved to Jackson Junior High, and been here ever since, except time I went to Ole Miss, spent 4 years there, and then moved to Houston for a couple years after college and worked in commercial real estate out there.
Nice. How old are you?
I'm 36.
So you were born in Memphis. What'd your parents do?
My dad came from a family of entrepreneurs. His dad was a pharmacist, also had 2 farms and a rice mill in Montego Bay, Jamaica. And
Sorry?
He's gonna be like a
That's
rice
impressive.
mill in Clarksville or something in Jamaica.
yeah, he was an interesting entrepreneur. Unfortunately, he passed away before I was born. I never got to know him, but got to see my dad, work and run a lot of those businesses growing up, and that's one of the things that always thrived me to be interested in different types of businesses and how they operate.
Yeah. That's interesting.
So we moved to the farm, Stonewall, Bee Lake, when I was 5, and lived out there till we moved to Jackson. And
Wow.
still love it out there.
Yeah.
Where'd you go to high school?
JA.
Okay. And then you went to Ole Miss.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have any jobs growing up?
I worked construction 2 summers in high school, which was, for me, a great experience because I never would have learned any kind of carpentry skills since, and it's sometimes very helpful around the house.
Right. Yeah.
Mainly I worked for the framing crew and then the trim crew, and learned to build cabinets and stuff with the trim crew, and that was great. Worked with the same home builder both summers, and had 2-a-days during July and having to go work in between them. It was a lot of fun and good money for a kid that age.
Yeah, for sure. So you went to Ole Miss. What'd you graduate in?
Banking and finance with a minor in math.
Okay. And what year was that you
I
graduated?
graduated 2012.
So we were rebounding from that because I graduated in 2009. So I guess we were rebounding back by then. So what was your move out of college?
I was very interested in investment banking, Wall Street, any kind of...
Are you a day trader?
No, not anymore. I tried it.
Dude, I tried it.
Yeah.
For people that know me, know my story with Robinhood, and I got absolutely roasted on Robinhood.
Yeah, I was about to say 2020 burned me out on that when the Robinhood shut everything down. I think I probably still have some of those accounts open.
I still got scars from some stuff I thought was going to be a good buy.
And I really liked that, but my partner and now mentor, Bob, at the time, we had a good meeting after college, and he veered me in the direction towards real estate, which I'm very thankful for now because it's a great business. And I got a great job with a small boutique firm, commercial real estate firm in Houston, and went out there and did a lot of leasing, but also developments, ground up. We'd find and buy a building, tear it down, bring in 2 national tenants, just for small retail centers.
So how'd you get in with that company in Houston? Just cold calling, or did you have a referral to get in?
A referral. He was on the Ole Miss Real Estate Advisory Board, so I had some references there.
Hands you shake, not the grade you make.
So it was a great experience out there, and then slowly being away from home, got burned out on that.
Yeah.
Decided to come back and work for Bob, and went full time with StorageMax. I'd been there a couple summers before, so came back full time in 2013.
So you've been with StorageMax for 13 years.
Mm-hmm.
So a third of your life you've been with StorageMax.
That's right. Yeah,
That's
I
crazy.
never thought about it that way.
When you worked there in the summer, what were you doing?
We were transitioning software, so one summer I spent getting us into the new software, which still happens to be the software that we're on today, building up the maps of the properties, which was a new feature then, so that you could actually see the units in a map form and very quickly with a hover of the mouse, see what the rate should be for a unit, what the tenant rate is for that unit, whether they're past due, it's color coded, you can see who's overlocked. So that was a new feature that I helped build out. Other than that, just learning the business. I did a lot of time working in the stores, renting storage units, spending time cleaning units and getting them ready for the next person.
So you've been involved in the whole facet of the deal, which I think we've talked about that with numerous guests. I think that's a very integral part of being able to grow a business is knowing and touching, whether you like it or not, every part of it, from the janitorial side to the software side and the management side to, and the self-storage, I know we're going to dive into it deeper, but I think the general public has this, misunderstanding that it's just a metal building and you're just collecting money. Mm-hmm. And I would imagine that's going to be as far from the truth as possible, because there's just so much that goes into that stuff. We've talked about this, but even from like the new construction side, the permitting and zoning, and it's not everybody wants to see a storage facility go up. So I'm sure opposition, I deal with this stuff all the time in real estate development. So I'm very interested to hear more of the intricacies of the storage facility and just what that, from an operations standpoint and management. I've got a little anxiety for you, just waiting to hear that.
Well, it's I would say it's similar to Costco. Nobody wants you there, but everybody ends up using you. We've got some battle scars along the way, but I do think the timing worked out well coming on in 2013, because that was the post financial crisis collapse, real estate collapsed. A lot of people in the industry went under, and there was a lot of asset trading going on, and banks taking over property. So the development really slowed down. So it was the time where we really focused on operations and our internal operations. How do we improve? How do we compete and stay afloat? And I came on then, and then the recovery was more 2015, 2016. We weren't looking at ground up builds, but we were doing some expansions to existing properties. So got to dip my toe in the water learning construction through expansions. And then as the market continued to improve, we started doing more acquisitions in 17 and 18, and then broke ground on our first of this phase, at least my first that I handled, Class A development in 2019. And since then, we've done 7 or 8 of them.
Wow.
Of Class A ground ups, multi-stories.
Explain just for the listeners that don't have a clue what you're talking about. What Class A, what is that?
It's not your standard metal roll-up doors with gravel drives and a barbed wire fence around it with no office that you drive by on the side of the highway that some guy built because he owned the land for 30 years and thought it'd be good to put some metal buildings on it and collect rent, and then neglect it for the next 30 years so it becomes an eyesore. And that's what really puts a bad image on our industry, and people think about when they hear self-storage. Class A, when you dress it up, it doesn't have to be 3-story. It can be single-story, but no exterior metal panels, exposed roll-up doors. If you do, you do it what we call fortress style. So you build the buildings on the outside on your setback lines, and all your units are accessible from the interior, so you can dress up the exterior buildings with brick and stucco. Wow. So it's all single story. You do have drive up units, but it's blocked from the exterior from the public seeing within. So it's a good way to dress up your facade. And then the Class A multi-stories typically are 3 stories, all brick, EIFS, stucco, nice furnishing and fixtures, and looks more like an office building.
Man, I was going to say, just, the ones that I've seen like in Gluckstadt and Ridgeland, they're state of the art.
Mm-hmm.
Especially the one in Flora, and to me, I always harp on breaking the mold, and I feel like that's breaking the mold, like you're saying. Your competition is Farmer Joe that just throws up a building and a barbed wire fence, and it's like, hey, let's flip this on its head and make it attractive. I would imagine that helps with the permitting process. I mean, you go in there and you say storage unit, and people are like, whoa, and then it's like, hey, this is actually nicer than your house.
It is very nice, and that's one thing we harp on is we like our units to be an extension of someone's home. And they're putting their prized possessions in there. No one thinks that their stuff is trash. They want to put it in something they feel like is an extension of their home. So we're going to have it clean and ready for them so that it looks like that.
Yeah.
And our buildings do attract attention, but what truly sets us apart is our people. When you walk in the door, there's going to be someone smiling, ready, waiting for you, that stands up and hopefully meets you at the door with a cold bottle of water.
Nice. That's an experience.
We try to make it an experience instead of a lot of times in our industry, you just have trouble getting somebody on the phone.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's very interesting. So we're doing 2 episodes, and this one, we're focused on your career and just kind of how you got to where you're at. So I want to jump back on that train, and then maybe the second episode we'll dive, because I really want to get into the guts of the storage operation and a lot of things with that. But back to all right, so you've been there 13 years. What does the last 13 years look like? So you started with a broom in your hand, now you're CEO. Bridge that gap for us.
Well, in the beginning, it was a lot of years of learning, and in particularly for me, growing up, I had a lot of growing up to do. But it's been fun to see the full cycle. We were at 19 locations when I came on, but we have grown a few of those. But just seeing, and my team, a lot of them still predate me. We have a handful of, say, 6+ employees that have been with us over 20 years.
Wow. That says a lot.
Yeah, that's impressive.
They harp on, what I came in and really started working on was our systems and organization. And we really wanted to make sure that no matter where you worked at any store, that it was the same systems, the same organization. You could open the same drawer, the same filing cabinet, and find what you need to do your job that day. Because a lot of times back, in the 90s and early 2000s for our industry, it was you built it and you took out an ad in the yellow pages, and that was it.
Right.
That was your business.
Right.
People found you in the yellow pages and they came to you and you did a little 1-page, probably 4-sentence lease, and you didn't worry about the repercussions after that or the protections that you needed. And so we've come a long way as an industry. We've had a lot of advocacy, a lot of laws passed, a lot of lobbyists that help us. So
that's crazy. All that goes into self-storage.
Yeah.
I mean, you just would never think that it's. But that being innovative, like y'all have been, is what separates y'all and what puts y'all in the seat of the number 1 operator in the state. Being the lead dog on this kind of stuff, that's so interesting to just not be complacent. Like, yeah, you build it, you get it figured out, and it's like you could have just been like, all right, mailbox money. But no, how do we take it to the next step? How do we improve customer service? How do we grow our footprint? How do we hone in and get better on management and operations? Like that's what it takes.
That's what I spent a lot of time doing in 2014, 15, and 16 when I was saying honing in our systems. It was speeding up the rental process while also expanding the paperwork, working on more electronic documents, making sure we had a filing system that worked quicker for our managers so that we just didn't have stacks of papers on the desks. And it was a better customer experience as well. And then from that better customer experience, we started adding new technologies with new website. Even back then, it was the first time we were doing online payments, so we didn't have to get involved. Then we launched our app, and people could do maintenance requests through the app. They could also pay through the app, set up auto pay. They can rent extra units, move out, and things like that. So putting those different systems in place. From there, we grew the app to where now you don't have to remember your gate code. You can just pull up to the gate and click open gate through your app, and it'll open up so you don't have to roll down your window during the rain. So it's working on systems to expand that. And then if they go up to the gate and they're late and it doesn't let them in, they type in their code and get a text message so that they can pay directly on their phone, and then the gate will open once they pay. honing in those systems is really what I did for the first 5 to 8 years before we got heavy into development and acquisitions.
Wow.
And how long did y'all stay at 19 locations? Like, was there a time when you were really focused on the system where you were like, hey, don't buy any, we don't need another
I don't think
location?
it was because it was just where the market was. And that's kind of where the market has been, I'd say, the past 2 years as well. With we peaked during COVID, so it's just slowed down and harder to get a deal done between interest rates, construction costs. Facilities were worth a lot more 2 years ago than they are today, so owners not willing to come to reality and sell at a price that works for both parties. So back then it worked out. Timing worked so that it allowed me to do that and align the company with our future goals, which then in turn did set us up for growth because our systems were in place so that when we did our first acquisition of our most recent round in Clinton, we're boots on the ground. It was probably longer back then, but today, we're there day of closing, my corporate team. We'll have about 5 people there the first 4 days. After that, 1 person with the team for the next 2 weeks, and then it's pretty hands off. And our job as far as turning it around is not done, but we don't have to be hands on. We can do the rest from the corporate office. So the systems are in place because it helps us do those acquisitions today. Without it, we would live there.
Yeah. I'm reading a book right now that's just about systems, and it's because I'm trying to put that. There's so much involved in it.
Our list of applications and softwares that we have to integrate when we take over a property is north of a dozen now, just because we have so many different things that talk to each other. So, it's a lot of headway for about 2 to 3 weeks before a closing as well to get all those things talking correctly.
Yeah, no doubt. That sounds pretty intense. I know that the DocuSign was like a game changer for us in the real estate. I bet that was. Did you have a lot of people, like you mentioned, people have been there, like seniority, been there longer than you, like adapting to that change? Was their mind blown? Like you come in, you're like, all right, we're going all digital, and it's like,
There's growing pains, and I won't say that we're all digital yet. We still got some growing to do, but as I talk when I go to a lot of industry conferences, we're slow to adapt in Mississippi. I think we all know that.
Gosh,
but,
yes. Gosh, yes.
There are reasons behind that, and we like things our way, and we like things the old school way a little bit, but we do have to adapt.
Yeah.
Yes, pushing that, not only on the senior team, but even our corporate team was tough on.
People don't like change.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. It's just people don't like change. So.
But today, the ones that have stuck it out harp on it. I hear a lot, when they talk to different people and just say how much it's changed and how much better it is. No one likes change initially, but if you get it right, and sometimes you get it wrong. Sometimes. We ask for feedback when we try to make those changes because, and I tell my team a lot, look, the only way that we're going to continue to improve is we're going to continue to try new stuff, and not everything's going to be a home run. You tell me when it doesn't work, and I'll listen to your feedback. I'm not always right. So,
I think that's a very healthy
that we've tried and stopped.
That's a healthy posture to be open to that, because in our firm, we just integrated a software system that all encompasses, because how we were was physical documents, and now we're all electronic. You can upload, our agents can upload our contracts and earnest money, and everything's in this file, in the cloud or whatever. And I would be the one to say, like, I'm open. I know that's where it's headed, and I know we need to go there, but I also am not good at getting us there and implementing it, so we've changed some things to where now we're there by help of others, and it's been the best move we've made. Just expedites things, and I wasn't ready for the change, but I knew we needed to make it, and now I wish we'd have done it 5 years ago.
The positive of going back to what we were talking about with the 2013 to 2016 hey, I was still learning green and wasn't as busy as I am today, but I was able to spearhead a lot of that. Today, when you're running a business, if you want to take on a new system or new software like that, it takes a ton of time out of your day where you got a ton of other things to do, and you really do need someone bought in on your team to spearhead that project. So it's good that you have that.
Yeah. All right.
You mentioned industry conference. Tell us about your involvement in the industry.
So there are two national associations, the SSA, the Self Storage Association, the ISS, the International Self Storage Association. From that, most of us have different state associations. So our Mississippi Association, which I'm president of and have been involved since about 2017, we have 120 active members. I think there's around 600 facilities in the state of Mississippi. So, penetration is okay, but we could do better, and we're working on that. I'm also vice president of the Louisiana Self Storage Association. It's much larger. They have closer to a little north of 1,500 facilities, and we're north of 500 members there. So, say the Southeast has really good state associations. Texas and Florida, New York. They have 1,000 people show up at their state conferences, so they're huge. But the state associations really help small owner operators that if you own one facility or 3 facilities, you join the association for a nominal fee. We provide you a lease that's written by a national self-storage attorney that updates it each year with current lien laws that help protect you. We also give all members a lien checklist that makes sure that they're doing all of the things that they need to do to properly sell a unit, which is taboo to me in our industry. It got popular with storage wars on selling units. We don't like it. It's typically just a last resort when you can't get somebody on the phone and it's abandoned goods. But it is a necessary evil. And so when an owner does have to resort to that, we want to make sure that they do it right and protect themselves. And so that's what the state association does. We also use some of the funds and really get a lot of help from the national SSA to get lobbyists to help just get updated lien laws put in for us. There was a time forever when we had to advertise every sale in the newspaper, and that was expensive, and no one read it, and it was a waste of money. And the newspaper lobbyists did a good job keeping that involved for so long. But in 2020, we were able to beat that and get rid of that. We can do them electronic now. There's some other things we're working on right now to hopefully get. It's not going to make it in this session. We didn't get a bill, but we'll be working on it this summer to get in 27 session.
Intense.
Yeah.
Very intense. All right. Bring us up to speed. As of today, where are your CEO? How many employees you got? How many locations do you have? How many states are you in? Give us the overall, fast forward 13 years.
Yeah, we're now in 3 states. We've got 38 locations between Mississippi, Alabama, and Louisiana. We've got one more set to close in March. It's also in the Jackson MSA. We just closed on 3 in the Jackson MSA south of town in January, so that's what brought us to 38. So 3 closing at once was interesting. Our portfolio is primarily in the Jackson metro area, which is one reason I think a lot of people don't understand that we are locally owned and operated. We're not a franchise. It's not a national brand, even though we do own the national trademark. It's a Jackson-owned family company. Out of our 38 locations, 29 of them are in the Jackson MSA. We've got 7 in Tupelo, 1 in Baton Rouge, and 1 in Mobile.
Goodness. Yeah, you just you see the brand everywhere, and it, if you were to tell me that it was a franchise, I'd be like, I'd believe it. It's a really good name, bold, simple, and
the buildings are always so nice.
Oh, they're super nice.
It's one thing that we did spend a lot of time and still do today, but in your slower times of acquisitions, it's when you reinvest in your properties, and it's what a lot of operators don't do and fall by the wayside and end up getting acquired, and that's when we have to come in and do a lot of work on a property. you know, if you want someone to put their valuables at your property and going back to it be an extension of their home, you got to keep it well kept. You got to put the money into fixing the gate when it goes down, and the fence and the lights and the cameras, and
Right.
pressure washing it once a year, and the little things that just make it shine.
Yeah. I'm curious if, just with the way y'all are, like forward thinking, breaking the mold, have you looked at things outside of self-storage? Like, I've always been interested in doing like an incubator style deal, you know, build a building and have a common area.
We looked at that heavily early on in COVID. We did not get in that business.
The potential for turnover for me was kind of a turn off, because I mean, the incubator deal would be, say you built a 15,000 square foot building, and you had 15,000 square foot suites, and or it could be less than 1,000 square feet. But basically, new entrepreneurs and stuff kind of go in and lease a space, but they got access to common area, conference tables and coffee makers and all that stuff. But those people are going to be there. It's an incubator for a reason. They're growing, and then they're going to move out. So it's like the longevity of the tenancy is not there. That's been my concern with that. But I'm just curious, to y'all.
You're
in the RV business now, aren't you?
We are. We've bought 2 retail centers that came with storage facilities when we were buying from an owner that also owned it nearby. So we've got some retail. We've always had some industrial, and recently built some more. But our most recent acquisition, there was a storage facility in Canton that we've always known and passed by, and Bob called the owner on the right day and didn't think he'd ever sell, and he did. But it also included an RV park with 173 RV pads and 14 cabins. So it's been a new business for us to learn. And like we were talking about earlier with systems in place and how that has helped set that up in the past, has helped us today. We didn't have the systems in place for that. And unfortunately, I lived at that RV park, I feel like, for 4 months, but I'm still not going today. I was probably spending 3 days a week there now with trim back. But
now you got to join the RV KOA.
Yeah, we've been going to conferences. I've been to 3 national, or 1 state and 2 national.
But that's what it takes. It's that right there. Like, you just buy an RV park, and you don't just buy it and just hope it works. You dive in, you figure it out, and you just waller in the muck of figuring it out.
You do. The tenants are loving it now because it was, owned by, I would call it somewhat of an absentee owner operator for 20 years, and really owned by the on-site management. They were making all the day-to-day decisions and had no oversight and had no reasoning to improve it. So, we come in and finally start making improvements and maybe make some mistakes along the way, but we're always trying to do right by our customers, and they're excited to see the changes we're making. So
and I bet Bob likes that challenge, a new challenge. He seems like he would really like, all right, I've got this figured out. Let's go figure out the
day-to-day, we've got handled. He likes the challenge of looking at something like that, or looking at a raw piece of land and envisioning a road coming through here in different lots, and the ultimate master plan development or community. One thing I'm still learning from on that.
And that's not one you really want to make a mistake on. Well, Nick, man, we really appreciate you coming on. We'll do another episode. We want to dive in. Hannah, what you want to dive in, talk about on the next?
I think just deeper into the self-storage industry
operations.
I want to hear I want to hear your pain points, because I know they're there, and
what it looks like to just get another location.
I want to hear your top 3 worst days. That's what I want.
Oh yeah, I want to hear.
Talk me out of getting into self-storage.
Yesterday.
So I think there's a lot.
There's a lot to unpack. All right, thank you, Nick. Appreciate it.
Thank y'all.